It's not very often Thrustmaster updates part of their ecosystem, and since the release of the direct drive T818, we've been waiting to see what's next. It's important to highlight that this wheel fully supports PC and both consoles, which is a feature that Camus, Moza, and some others do not. Welcome to the day one review of the 32R leather EVO racing wheel from Thrustmaster. I was sent the product a little bit early for review, but obviously if you're familiar with the channel, my opinions are my own. We begin with the release of the T818 direct drive base. We got a new quick release system. This quick release continues to be front and backwards compatible. In my experience, the updated quick latch system is quite solid and does a good job controlling flex between the rim and the base. This newest rim does, however, include a major revision in how this updated quick release system works. This is not the first time this updated system is released, but it's the first time that I'm seeing it, so I'm going to comment on it in some detail in a little bit. Videos like this normally start by highlighting the general impressions of the packaging. Shipped in a display box, protected by a shipping box, the product will arrive to you safe no matter. The inner box lid includes basic instructions in the form of a quick guide, and the wheel feels solid, well made, and it feels lighter than it looks, if that makes sense. Before testing, I needed to bring the base firmware up to 6.10. This involved downloading the most up-to-date driver package, uninstalling the old set, installing the new set, and then performing the firmware update that was laid out in the manual. I'm just going to refer to it as the EVO racing wheel from now on, okay? It includes a parts bag, 2 quick release choices, and sticker sheets to customize the bindings. The included latch QR works with the T818, and the included screw QR is that familiar port that we're used to seeing. The bare rear of the EVO racing wheel has a USB Type-C, which is said to be used for updating firmware if needed. The upper port is larger and it's labeled JSPI base, which is used for the spin adapter, and the lower port is smaller and labeled JCAN base, which is used for the latch adapter. Connect the correct wire to the port, and then using the included Torx bolt, tighten with the included tool. Secure the QR to the back of the hub and take your time. Press it into place and then attach the bolts. I couldn't help but notice that there was another wire within this new latch QR. It's simply listed as expansion, perhaps for future shift light array or maybe a small screen. The back of the wheel is a polymer molded hub. The outer shell is the only structure, and that's fine and expected at this price point. Each side has a modular magnetic shifter. For this EVO rim, we have a large paddle with a slight lip. These can be moved further out. These have some tuning options to adjust the magnetic feel of the shifter. By default, we have the strongest shifter feel. You may add spacers to tune your preference. These pads are also going to reduce the clicking sound, which is already very silent compared to some other wheels. Below the shifters are 2 expansion ports that are meant to offer analog paddles for future upgrades. Thrustmaster has done what many have done. This wheel is removable from the hub and therefore can be replaced. The wheel, despite being 32 centimeters in size, is constructed to look like a regular car wheel. There's a metal middle, and the form of the wheel is wrapped with leather, and that feels great. There are no imperfections in the leather or the bright yellow stitching. There's no flat bottom. There are no notches for fingers, which in general is better. You're able to slide smoothly between your fingers for drift and rally. Thrustmaster is not known for competing in the very high end of sim market. If you're used to driving with the very high end, such as SimCube or upper spectrum of Moza, Asetek, the wheel will probably not stack up for you and will probably feel cheaper. It feels like the metal middle is somehow attached to a non-metal rim, but that's again expected in keeping with the wheel's target market. If you're happy with other wheels in this price range, you're going to be happy with this one. I've seen some teaser photos floating around of other wheel shapes. I can only assume that more will be announced in the future for use with this hub. So 6 bolts and you swap out to a flat bottom D-shaped wheel, 6 bolts and you can swap out to a GT3 style shaped wheel. Moving to the top of the hub, from left to right, is an LED for flag, a left button for adjusting the shifter LEDs, 5 LED segments for shifting, a right button for adjusting the analog paddles when those are attached, and an LED to indicate pit. The brightness of the entire array can be set in 10% increments by pushing the left black button and then rotating encoder number 3 on the lower left side. Users can customize between 2 modes called blue and red. Blue mode sweeps from left to right with 2 green, 1 yellow, 2 red, and finally flashing blue. And red sweeps in with 2 green, 4 green, all yellow, and finally flashing red. To toggle between those two modes, you once again press the left button for 2 seconds and then use encoder number 4 on the right side. There are many bindings, and I'm going to blitz through them really quickly. 1 and 2 are the shifter paddles. 3, 4, 5 are the top smaller momentary buttons from left to right. 7 and 8 are labeled limit and engine, also momentary buttons. 9 and 10 are the larger momentary buttons at the top. You can't miss them because they're numbered by default. 11, 12 are pushed down on the encoders. 13 is a momentary labeled drink. 14, 15 is left and right of the upper left encoder. 16, 17 is left and right of the upper right encoder. 18, 19 is left, right, lower left encoder. 20, 21 is left and right of the lower right encoder. 23, 24 remain the 2 buttons on the base. 24, 25 are the push-in on the lower left and right encoders, and you have a 4-way D-pad just for good measure. These bindings have a corresponding label for PlayStation and Xbox, which you can see in the manual. And the question you have is, what's it like to use? With or without gloves, I have no difficulty at all using it. The friction from the leather is familiar. The overall thickness of the wheel is familiar. The 320mm radius provides the user a little bit of an advantage with the T818 if you expect a lot of force from the base. For all of my testing, I had things set to 90 of max and 100% in game. I've already viewed T818 and spent a lot of time with the F599XX wheel attached. This newer EVO wheel is actually a significant jump up in quality over the 599 wheel with less flex and even better shifters. Its buttons are also much better with good positive feedback. If Thrustmaster wants to go even more premium, there is room for backlighting, possibly better buttons, and a more solid all-metal leather-wrapped wheel. I have no complaints though, and the sheer volume of bindings is, as I said, a huge upgrade over the 599XX. Its shifters are vastly more tactile and register at the very start of a shift pull, and I would say they're very satisfying to use and I never missed a shift. They're not as snappy and stiff as some of the competition, but they register well and are quiet by default. If you have the SF1000 bundle and were looking for a round wheel to round out your driving, then I can suggest choosing this 32R leather EVO, especially if you're about to buy the older F599XX. This new wheel makes parts of the older wheel feel like a toy, and I know I'm going to enjoy using this in all types of racing. And I feel that that's about all I need to say about the EVO Racing 32R Leather by Thrustmaster. And if you liked the video and got something out of it, please share it. Please search for other reviews that I've published here. Please comment comments in the comments where they belong. Drive safe.